This guy tweeted, "The denaturalizations are starting. I repeat, the denaturalizations are starting. It's only 2, but we've broken the seal. It can be done. Now it's just a matter of scale. First 2, then 200, then 200,000. Pretty amazing to see this in my lifetime." And I agree, but I was like, I'm not gonna believe some random fuck on Twitter without a source, so let's fucking go. Here's an article. Denaturalization of U.S. citizens begins. The Department of Justice said Thursday it revoked the naturalization of a convicted gun trafficker and a healthcare fraud conspirator. Ooh! The fact that one of them is a healthcare fraud conspirator makes me so fucking excited. Think of all the Somalians we're about to deport! Holy fuck! Oh, that's so great. The actions arrived as denaturalization draws fresh political and legal scrutiny, with Republicans pushing for new legislation. The Justice Department, under current guidance, has made denaturalization a priority, and immigration agencies have reassigned staff to identify more potential cases, according to reports from NBC News and NPR. According to the DOJ's release, a court on March 23rd revoked the citizenship of Vladimir Volgaev, a native of Ukraine, after finding he concealed his role in smuggling more than 1,000 firearm components overseas and defrauded a federal housing program before naturalizing in 2016, rendering him ineligible during the required good moral character period. Volgaev was convicted in 2020 of smuggling goods from the US and theft of government money or property, and the court concluded he also provided false testimony about his criminal background. A transcript of Volgaev's sentencing hearing showed his defense lawyer argued his age and physical health made him eligible for compassionate release, with the judge deciding, upon release from the term of incarceration, he will serve a 1-year term of supervised release and then be deported because he's been denaturalized. Meanwhile, on March 24th, the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida revoked the 2017 naturalization of Miralys Cabrera Diaz of Hialeah, Florida, after her 2019 guilty plea and conviction for conspiring to commit healthcare fraud, with restitution ordered for more than $6 million, the DOJ said. I'm gonna pause here. I wanted to wait until I got the name of the second person, because the first person being Ukrainian, chef's fucking kiss. I love it. I was hoping that the second person would also be white, just because there would be no fucking racism cards that they could play. Because the left always likes to do that. Whenever a deportation happens, they're just like, oh, it's racist, you guys, racist policy. This guy's Ukrainian. What the fuck are you gonna do? What are you gonna cry about now, dumb bitch? But the second one Hispanic, so they still have like half a race card, unfortunately. I have a feeling that when more of this denaturalization hits the mainstream, they're gonna focus on the Hispanic lady and forget about the Ukrainian guy completely. But $6 million. I doubt that's gonna get paid back, but that's a great way to send a message, right? That's just like, whenever you find a company hiring illegals, they need to be fined like an actual amount of money. Like $1 million per illegal hire or some shit like that, right? Like, it's gotta be ridiculous and absolutely completely break smaller companies who only hire illegals. You play deport the Hispanic drug dealer in attack position. Your turn, lefty. That's actually doubly great as well, that her guilty plea was conspiring to commit healthcare fraud. So like, she's paying $6 million in restitution. Based on this, the Somalis in Minnesota and Maine should be like 3,000% fucked. Like, there should be absolutely nothing protecting them from the repercussions of the fraud they've committed. God Hates Taxes, thank you. Kier, actually, Ukrainians are historically oppressed to be white. Shut up. I'm Italian. I'm darker. Did I see on Twitter someone cross-referenced mass layoffs with H-1B applications by companies and found 99,000 correlations? What the fuck? There was some post that I saw on Twitter that was like, oh, with the H-1B visa like freeze thing happening, there are many Indians stuck in India. And it's like, that's your fucking country. What do you mean stuck in India? The fuck are we doing here? Look at Kirsche right now. Look at me. I'm the minority now. The court held that Cabrera Diaz could not establish the statutory requirement of good moral character during the 5-year period preceding her application. According to the immigrant advocacy nonprofit group, the National Immigration Forum, the federal government may revoke U.S. citizenship through denaturalization on 2 primary grounds. The first involves fraud or misrepresentation during the naturalization process. An individual may be denaturalized if they deliberately lied or concealed a material fact that influenced the government's decision to grant citizenship. The second ground is illegal procurement of naturalization. This applies when an individual was not legally eligible for citizenship at the time it was granted because they failed to meet statutory requirements, such as lawful permanent residence, sufficient physical presence, good moral character, or attachment to the principles of the U.S. Constitution. It seems like the good moral character and attachment to the principles of the Constitution could be great ways to mass denaturalize. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi said in a release, American citizenship is a sacred privilege, not a cheap status that can be obtained dishonestly. Fucking could have fooled me for the past fucking several decades, bro. These actions reflect the Department of Justice's ongoing efforts to strip citizenship from people who conceal crimes or defraud the American people during the immigration process. Newsweek reported previously that denaturalization cases have remained rare despite recent political rhetoric, with an average of around 11 cases per year, according to the Brennan Center for Justice. But little white pill, denaturalizations have begun. A denaturalization for healthcare fraud with a 6 million restitution? Oh, it feels so great! I need to see more! As a recap, and I guess for those who don't know, since I haven't done much Bridge stuff recently, I found out about Bridge in late 2023, I believe it was, and I first started posting about them in January 2024. Basically, I was watching a video from The Quartering, and it was the top 10 most woke companies or some shit, and Campbell's Soup was on the list, and I was like, what the fuck has Campbell's Soup done? I've never seen Campbell's Soup attributed to fucking anything, and I like their creamy chicken pub pot pie, alright? That's a good fucking soup. So I looked it up, and it turned out, what I found was, yeah, they had all the normal DEI initiatives of every other company, but they were also spearheading funding for something called Bridge. And I was like, well, what the fuck is Bridge? And that one question about that one soup company has turned into this article of sources and archives dating back to January 2024. Literally everything Bridge has done since January 2024 that I have covered is in this article. It is a massive article of just a bit of text and links and archives, and if you want to know what Bridge is doing, what their goal is, where DEI is going, why the people who are telling you DEI is dead are lying to you, whether maliciously or out of ignorance, this is what you should read. Anyone who says DEI is dead is wrong. Anyone who says DEI is going away is wrong. People like Robbie Starbuck, who are claiming victories, are wrong, and I have done all of the investigative work over multiple years. It is a fuck ton of text. It is a fuck ton of information, so it will take you a million years to read. And I think the only thing that could possibly be confusing, you click on the link, and the link is what has a good chunk of the information, because the article stopped letting me add images to it, so I had to reformat everything I was doing from the beginning because of the way I was formatting everything. So this one will say an info dump tweet, and then you go to the tweet and it has all of the information. And so whenever there's a tweet linked by me, that tweet has so much more info than just what the text is going to say. There's a Larry Fink tweet. This is like another post that might have a bunch of information. Let me see. So this is talking about Larry Fink, Cheryl Dyja, the video I've shown probably 7 trillion fucking times, the Danny Lalander's video. It's got fucking everything in here. There is so much. And I do mention a couple of other creators who end up talking about Bridge. The Quartering was literally the first other creator besides me to bring Bridge up. Clownfish covered it. There's Lotus Eaters who covered it somewhere in here. So I make sure to mention people if I had remembered them making videos on Bridge during this time, especially in the first year that I was bringing it up. But either way, here is the Bridge article. It exists. It's got a million links and tons of information. They're hiding the DEI vegetables. Don't forget it. Spread this far and wide. Anyone who's interested in DEI should absolutely take the time to read through everything I've gathered. And it's all in one place. All in one place now. So beautiful. Police take down a woman who blocks our path. Milford, New Hampshire, no kings. Milford is a beautiful town. It was also a town I was looking at houses in because they have a lot of old Victorians. Milford is beautiful.
I don't give a shit. I know you're not gonna see your mind. I'm here for people like me that can see someone else cares. At least one person cares. Fucking asshole. Get the fuck out of here. Well, why don't you leave? I would love to leave. I would love to leave.
Yeah, leave the whole state,
I
actually.
be here.
Why don't you give her your space, okay? She's following
I'm not
me,
even
buddy.
a she.
She is following me.
I'm not even a she! Cries the woman! What are we doing here?
Hey, you know what? No one gave you the authority to be king either. I'm not going to be pushed around by her. I'm not going to be pushed around by you. Here comes a police
You can hate
officer.
crime all you want.
What does she mean by you can hate crime all you want? What the actual fuck? The woman has lost her composure.
Take your hate crime. Take your hate speech. Go away.
What is he hate speeching?
The Constitution doesn't cover hate speech.
I mean, by definition, yeah, it does.
Don't care.
I want to know what her stupid fucking flag says.
If one trans person sees me, stopping your bullshit. I don't care.
What's hate speech?
What?
Oh, shut the fuck up.
What is hate speech?
What is hate speech?
Speech you hate?
Speech you hate? Yeah, that's what hate speech is. The speech you hate.
So you can't say something that upsets you. That isn't
That's
covered by the
obviously not what it
Constitution.
is. I don't care. You don't care. You're just here to be fucking, I don't know, whatever, sidewalk Steve. Stop to care. That's why I'm here.
Abolish. Oh, it's an abolish ICE flag? Really?
Not a single goddamn person could just call me by my pronouns. You all don't know what the fuck pronouns are.
First of all, you're obviously a woman. You're crying when you're being confronted. Like that's like probably the most womanly thing possible. But like you're also arguing that people should just innately know your pronouns. Like, you're not wearing a badge or anything. You look like a woman, you sound like a woman, you're crying like a woman. I think it's pretty obvious that people would assume you are a woman. Like, what are we doing?
Alabama, we have children.
This person's been blocking me from going up the sidewalk for a while
I'll take
now.
that. I'll take that.
Oh my god, I just drank so much water.
Yeah, I let that sign.
What was it,
That
a
sign
cross?
needs to go. This is
She's
hate
blocked
speech.
me on the sidewalk.
I want to know what's on the side.
I'm not blocking that sign.
You can't.
I'm not letting this sign go through. There's no reason.
And who the fuck are you? Under what authority can you say I'm not letting this sign through? What is this individual? The libtard cries out in pain and misery as it strikes you. Dangerous. True.
For it to be here. This is hate speech. No, he can't.
Yes, he's allowed to
Literally hate
peacefully
speech.
protest as
It's not protest.
I mean, yes, it
There's
is.
no such thing as a trans child. It's not true.
That is
Don't
true,
be off the
actually.
pass until he gets rid of that sign.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to leave him alone, unless you want to get arrested.
For what?
Disorderly conduct. Disorderly conduct. Yes. So you're allowed to walk.
It's gonna be like this then.
No, you can't. That's
Why can't
disorderly
I?
conduct.
How is this?
I love how all of these fucking retards are just slowly becoming sovereign citizens who don't understand how literally anything in their country works. I am living for this new crop of like accidental sovereign citizen content.
Disorderly conduct.
Because you cannot impede people from walking on the sidewalk. I'm gonna give you
I'm
one
going
more
to
chance.
Stop. I'm gonna block his sign. He can
You're
move.
more than welcome to walk, please.
He screams at us with a whistle. I'm blocking his sign. He can move all he wants. I'm just gonna block the sign.
You gotta leave us alone. This is harassment.
You gotta leave him alone.
All right, I'll leave him alone, but I'm blocking the sign. What's that?
That's not leaving him alone.
Leave us
Please.
alone. Leave him alone.
Do you know what you're asking?
Yes.
No, you don't.
You're creating.
What does the sign
I
say?
have nothing to do with that.
And I'm
It doesn't matter what the sign says. It's not like saying hang people from trees. It's not a violent sign. It's saying trans children don't exist, apparently, which they don't. It's the same thing as a vegan cat. Risk Prime, thank you for converting your Proom into a regular sub. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Oh no, it's 3-1. The Phoenix DS, thank you. The liberal has graduated from grade school hallway monitor to protest sidewalk monitor. I just don't get it. And I think this is the first time I've actually seen cops do something about this too, right? Because we've watched people like get all up on and all interfere with all of the other like anti-Islam protests that we've watched. And it seems like the cops just kind of let them do that as long as they're not touching the protesters. But these cops are like, you can't even block the sign. You need to just leave them alone and get away from them. Which is very interesting. Again, New Hampshire keeps being based, unironically.
I'm gonna block the sign.
Officers, this is
All right, turn around.
Oh, yes! Oh, fuck, yes! I fucking love New Hampshire! Oh, I was not expecting an arrest. You never fucking see that. Police are doing their fucking jobs? What world have I been transported to? I bet that person's a Massachusetts resident who just came for the protest. Taser repeatedly. Oh my god, the sweet accountability. I love to fucking see it. You're surprised she's not screaming? Yeah, same, actually. Did she say, I can't breathe yet? She's not casting spells. No wonder she got arrested. Oh, look at those birds. That was nice. You know that person came from Essex or Middlesex County and is just there to throw a fit. Fucking probably, man. That was greatly cathartic. I was not expecting an arrest. Holy fuck, that's nice. You know those retards are gonna call it fascism? Oh, of course. Oh, of course. Like I said, every time the Libertarian Party puts out a tweet talking about how they're gonna make it as hostile as possible for people on the left to live there, I'm like, fucking good. Fucking good. Let's go, dude. The violent far-left rioters are getting arrested at the ICE facility. They used the No Kings protest to gather militants to attack. I gave like a little blurb on this earlier, and then I forgot about it because we were movie drifting. Isn't that interesting? Because when we've talked about the like peaceful protest before, we've talked about how typically there will be like a group of peaceful protesters who actually support the violent riots, but the peaceful protesters are there as a decoy to run defense for the violent rioters, so that when everyone brings up the violent rioters, they can point at the group of the peaceful protesters who support the violent rioters, but aren't actually being violent, saying, look, these guys are peaceful, therefore the violence isn't actually as bad. I love watching gay, race, communist, and animal costumes get dragged on the ground! Let's fucking go! He does not have a nice bulge. Where is his thigh holster? Miraculous ladybug fell off. What does that even mean? Did he just call them sharks? This is Portland ice every weekend. Imagine having to deal with this shit. Aw. You people just threw something at him. You just threw something at that ICE agent and you want to say don't get too trigger happy? Bro, they are lucky that we don't actually live under a fascist government.
Away from your butt,
The LARPers are so lucky they aren't getting met with full force. Unluckily for us. Fuck you, ladybug bitch. You love all the homophobic insults from the tolerant crowd? Every time. Every time. I mean, anything after that one leftist calling that black ICE agent the N-word, like, just anytime they try to complain about language, just throw that at them. It's like, come on, you guys. Come the fuck on. Wow, how loving. They're going into the box house. These are the enlightened and educated people acting like zoo animals, right? So much for the education.
I thought it was time to give you all a Hunt for Gollum update, the first of many that we'll do, little blogs along the way. And Andy Serkis has been busy designing the film. He's going to direct it and obviously play Gollum. We've got a lot of the old team back again, familiar faces and some new faces. But Andy's doing a terrific job. It's looking amazing. The script is coming together really well, and I think it's going to be a really good film, a really good film. But that is not the only Tolkien movie that we're developing. We've actually got another film that we'll be making after Hunt for Gollum.
We're about 36 seconds in, and he has said nothing that tells me anything.
So I thought I should tell you a little bit about that. Actually, why don't I get somebody else to explain it? Because we've got a very special partner that we're working with. And you can see for yourself. Hang on. There we go. Hello.
Hi, Peter.
Hey, Stephen. Hi, how are you?
How are you doing?
Good. I like all your Tolkien stuff on the wall there. That's that's
Oh, thanks. This is just part of the collection.
Well, he's got a gorilla in a loincloth with a club, and this guy has a chimpanzee in a suit. So that makes me think, unfortunately, you guys are probably right, and this guy's writing the next Lord of the Rings, and that's really disappointing.
So I was just explaining to the folks about the next Tolkien movie after Hunt for Gollum, and the fact that we've partnered up with you to develop the script. So,
yeah, I'm pretty happy about it.
Why? Like, I know all of these remakes are expressly for the purpose of removing the originals from the public's memory and instituting something with propaganda in it that will become, for the modern audience. It helps make the modern audience when they don't remember the originals. But you could make your propaganda like a little bit less blatant with who you're having write it, I feel like. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Tell people what the story is?
As much as you want. Yep.
I will, as much as I can. You know what the books mean to me and what your films mean to me. But the thing I found myself reading over and over again were the 6 chapters early on in the Fellowship that y'all never developed into the first movie back in the day. It's basically, the chapter is 3 is Company through Fog on the Barrow Downs. And I thought, oh, wait, maybe that could be its own story that could fit into the larger story. Could we make something that was completely faithful to the books while also being completely faithful to the movies that you guys had already made? And I started talking it over with my son, Peter, who's also a screenwriter, and we worked out what we thought would work, especially as a framing device for that story. And it took me a few years to scrape my courage into a pile to give you a call, but about 2 years ago I did. You liked it enough to talk to me about it, and ever since then, the two of us have been working with the brilliant Philippa Boyens on how to develop the story. And we recently took it to Richard Brenner at New Line and Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca at Warner Brothers, and I could not be happier to say that they loved it. And so that's what we're going to be working on.
Fantastic. Now, are you sure you've got the time, though? Because,
That I did not think I would have the time. As much as I love it, I knew I couldn't do that and do the show at the same time. But it turns out I'm going to be free starting this summer.
Well, isn't that fortunate?
Isn't that a you could?
Is his show getting canceled? Do we at least have a silver lining in all this? He's gonna be free this summer. Does that mean he's been canceled? Yes. Oh, at least there's one silver lining. I feel bad for everyone who likes Lord of the Rings, but at least the rest of us won't have to hear Colbert anymore.
Catastrophe right there. So if you'll excuse me, I've got to finish a television show and I've got to write a movie script, but I will see you all in the Shire.
Okay, alrighty, bye-bye. See you, Stephen.
Thanks, Peter.
Bye, bye-bye.
I'm sorry. I feel bad for all the people who actually like Lord of the Rings, who are gonna watch the thing that they love get propagandized into oblivion. How is Colbert gonna direct a movie when he can't even write his own jokes? That's a great fucking question. That is a great fucking question. Do not let the man into the Shire. Already been happening. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Now look at the Harry Potter remake. I already know what's going on with the Harry Potter remake, unfortunately. Communists marching with Democrats at the No Kings protest in NYC on Saturday. The communists chants, there is only one solution, communist revolution. This is the new Democratic Party.
Working class revolution! Working class revolution!
There is only one solution! Communist revolution! Communist revolution! There is only one solution!
There is only one solution! Communist revolution!
Absolutely disgusting that communist freaks can actually benefit from freedom of speech, to be fair. I like how they're saying, like, once again, it's very funny how they're like, hands off these places where the communist governments have been doing nothing but oppressing the people. It's very interesting just how happy the people of Venezuela were when their dictator got yoinked. Like, our hands are off of them. What a performance. This is why you advocate for reciprocal rights, so scum like these don't benefit from ours. Yeah. It's like, I think if you're in a society where everybody is like a live and let live mentality, you can definitely be like, yeah, freedom of speech for even people who disagree with me. But when the people who disagree with you are doing more than disagreeing and are actively advocating for, yeah, we want to kill you, we want you dead, it's kind of gotten to a point where, like, why would I do that? Why would I defend your right to want to kill me? Because that's not a right at all. And in addition to that, we've been through decades of these people trying to get everyone fired from their jobs or run off the internet or otherwise ruined personally and professionally. And then when, like, they say something far worse than anyone that they've tried to getting ruined has said, they're like, ooh, but you guys love edgy joke. You guys should be defending freedom of speech. And it's like, yeah, no. Kind of done defending freedom of speech for people who want to see me dead. Kind of done with that. I'm not going to defend the freedom of speech of people who would refuse to defend mine. No, it's going to be reciprocal. Sorry, but who are they to tell us what to do? They're communists, don't you know? They're the good guys.
Apples! You can get a foot job!
I didn't know they had an apples in Times Square. A large number of these people are getting paid. I'm sure there is a non-insignificant number of people in this crowd that do not understand that they are a useful idiot.
War! No war but the class war! No war but the class war! No war but the class war! From the belly of the beast! Hands off the Middle East! From the belly of the beast!
everyone in here is very low IQ. Who are these rich kids to talk about class war? It's very funny when they're going to protests that are funded by very wealthy people. It's also, like someone in chat said, I don't know where the message is, but it's very funny that they're actively calling for a revolution that then kills the revolutionaries after the revolution. Always very interesting to see. I also thought this video was interesting. I haven't watched it yet, but this person who I guess is LARPing as Yuri Bezmenov's ghost, said, "The parents who enthusiastically transition their child will likely be locked in an irreversible demoralization forever. Admitting they enthusiastically mutilated their own child would be psychologically unbearable. So they'll defend this ideology forever." And I don't remember what we were watching, but I said basically the same exact thing. That the parents who have already gone through with transitioning their child basically cannot give up the issue. Because to turn heel on all of the transgender nonsense that brought them to mutilating their child would mean that they personally not only didn't protect their child, but they are responsible for all the damages that their child has incurred. And that is a large mental swath that people probably cannot contend with. So there's gonna be a lot of parents going down with the ship, as it were.
We can't move on this, because that's the people who've transitioned their own children. So those people are going to be like, you know, the Japanese soldiers who were on Pacific Islands and didn't know the war was over.
Right.
They've got to fight forever. This is another reason why this is the worst social contagion that we'll ever have experienced. A lot of people have done the worst thing that you could do, which is to harm their children irrevocably because of it. Those people will have to believe that they did the right thing for the rest of their lives, for their own sanity and for their own self-respect. So they'll still be fighting. And each one of those people destroys entire organizations and entire friendship groups. Like, I've lost count of the number of times that somebody has said to me of a specific organization that has got turned upside down on this. Oh, the deputy director has a trans child, or, you know, oh, the journalist on that paper who does special investigations has a trans child, or whatever. The entire organization gets paralyzed by that one person, and it may not even be widely known at the organization that they have a trans child, but it will come out.
That's kind of wild that an entire institution could be ideologically captured and held hostage by one individual who happens to have done horrific things to their child.
Like, people will have sort of said it quietly, and now you can't talk truth in front of that person, and you know you can't. Because what you're saying is, you as a parent have done a truly, like, human rights abuse level of awful thing to your child that cannot be fixed. There are specific individuals who are really actively against women's rights here, and it's not known why they are, but I happen to know through the back channels that it's because they've trans their child. And so those people will do anything for the entire rest of their lives to destroy me and people like me, because people like me are a standing reproach to them.
That's
I don't
true.
want to be. I'm not talking directly to them. I don't spend my time bitching about them. But the fact is that just simply by saying we will never accept natal males in women's spaces, well, it's their son that we're talking about. And they've told their son that he can get himself sterilised and destroy his sexual function, and women will accept him as a woman. And if we don't, there's no way back for them and their child. They've sold their child a bill of goods that they can't deliver on, and I'm the one who has to be bullied to try to force me to deliver on it.
True.
So those people are going to be the people who will keep this bloody movement going, I'm sorry to say, because they've everything to lose.
And they can't just admit that they were wrong, because admitting that they were wrong is admitting that they have participated in horrific abuses to their children and other children.
And it's a fight to the death as far as they're concerned.
Yep. Very unfortunate. Consider the U.S. Mental Health Department introduced the word gender to replace sex due to ideological capture as one example. When I was in school, sex and gender were like replaceable words, right? Like, sex and gender meant the exact same thing when using them. And I'm wondering if that was part of the initial subversion, was like to get people used to using gender and sex interchangeably, so that they could eventually be like, well, actually, gender and sex are now two different things, and then once again bring them together, because we see that there are trans activists who claim, well, actually, I'm not just a woman, I'm biologically female. It's like Asmund when he talks about people buying shit, they will spew any lie just to protect the game instead of admitting that they bought a shitty game. I was like, yeah, if I buy a shitty game, I'm gonna be sad if I wasted like 60, 70 bucks on a shitty game, but I'd rather admit it was a shitty game. This guy, Rolf Degen, is a science writer and book author in psychology, neuroscience, and evolution. And he said, male refugees from Afghanistan and Syria in Germany show a keen interest in forming relationships with local women, but the local women show little interest in forming relationships with them. That's a very weird way to say that mass rapes have been occurring for the past 15 or so years, and the local women are actually not interested in being raped. Germany in particular received over 1.4 million refugees between 2014 and 2016. That is a lot in 2 fucking years. That is a lot in 2 years. That is a wild fucking number. Predominantly from Muslim-majority countries such as Syria and Afghanistan. The majority of these arrivals consisted of young single men with prime marriageable age brackets. And this was what stood out at me, was because back when the migrant crisis was first going on and in full swing, and there were like mass quote-unquote caravans of individuals flooding into Greece, flooding into Germany, flooding into France, flooding into the UK, everyone was pointing out there are no women and children here. These are all military-aged men. Why are all of these migrants military-aged men? And everyone was told, shut up, you're racist, that's Islamophobic, that's a far-right conspiracy, these are obviously families fleeing a war-torn area. And I've even brought up multiple times in regards to Syria, how there was that one interview clip of this guy going around interviewing the Syrian women and children who were left behind in Syria by their military-aged men to go to Europe. And the women even said, these men are failing us, they're failing Allah, they think they're on some kind of jihad, but the jihad is at home. They need to rebuild their country, not seek a better life for themselves in Europe while abandoning their families. And they're completely fucking correct, which is wild. And so it's very funny. It's very funny that this fucking guy is just openly saying the majority of the arrivals consisted of young single men with prime marriageable age brackets. What the fuck do you think that means? To all of the people who had been like hamstrung and had like demonetizations by YouTube, had been suspended off of Twitter, all saying these are military-aged men. And military-aged men aren't migrants, they're invaders. All of those people have just been fucking vindicated by this. And when I quote retweeted this and said that, there were some people who were like, actually, Kirsche, I never saw anyone saying prime marriageable age. It was a military age, man. That's the same fucking age bracket, you mongoloid! They're correct from a Christian perspective. Islamic perspective is the men can do whatever they want. You remember the Afghans treating women like property, not people? You lost count of the Afghans on FOB, I don't know what FOB is, bragging about buying their wives and even trying to sell women to the soldiers on FOB. I don't know what FOB is. Hell, you had an interpreter offer to sell you a wife for as low as $5 American. Jesus Christ. He continues, overall, our results indicate a high level of openness among male refugees toward partnering with female members of the resident population, but a comparatively low level of openness among the latter towards partnering with recently arrived male refugees. This implies a substantial incongruence in partnership preferences among the two groups. Wow! Wow, I'm so shocked that native German women would prefer mating with native German men over people who have come as refugees. I'm so shocked that that's the finding that you've come to. Who could have seen this? And it's once again, our results indicate a high level of openness among male refugees toward partnering with female members of the resident population. Historically, throughout time, when there has been a male invader class desiring to mate with the female native class, wouldn't we call that replacement of the native population, since they are attempting to outbreed the native men using the native women? That's kind of a weird thing to say, my guy. Regarding the educational level of a potential partner, we found that all respondents prefer highly educated partners over those with lower levels of education. This suggests that, for refugees, securing a highly educated partner might serve as a means of upward social mobility and integration into higher status networks in the host society. So this is again saying that foreign invading men are using a female hypergamous dating mindset in order to acquire highly educated, socialized native women to give themselves a higher status network in the host country in order to then gain position that would then favor them as migrants over the native men. This guy is saying so much out loud, it's crazy. The UN has a word for that outside of Western Europe. It's called genocide. Imagine. Furthermore, it is possible that highly educated women, due to their greater exposure to diverse social environments and potentially less discriminatory attitudes, are perceived as more open to intergroup partnerships, making them a more attractive choice for refugees seeking acceptance on social integration. That's very weird that they're saying highly educated women would be more likely to copulate with a refugee rather than a native person because of all of this gobbledygook, when it's more just like the educational institutions have been ideologically captured for ages, and a highly educated woman is a woman with a degree, not necessarily a highly intelligent woman, and this woman who's gone through the indoctrination might end up doing things that are not quite logical. This is why women shouldn't go to college. Oh my god. On the other hand, the reluctance of resident women to accept partnerships with refugees is largely explained by their rejection of the imported religious Islam. I don't know why he put imported in quotes here, because it is imported. Germany didn't have like natural giant enclaves of Islam before refugees. Why did he put it in quotes? This guy is projecting on the invaders so hard. They do not care about the women's intelligence or education at all. If you were, see, this is how I'm reading it, right? If you were a refugee that was interested in actually obtaining a position of power so that you could have more power in your host country to discriminate against the male hosts while also increasing the birth rates of, you know, your side of things, you take the native women and you get a high status power job so that you can then discriminate against the native men. We see that happening in America pretty frequently. We see when refugees or otherwise immigrants who shouldn't be in our government are in positions of power in the government, and all they do is discriminate against Native Americans. Not Native Americans as in just the Indians, but Native Americans as in all of us of all shades who are American people. No cap, the migrants got crazy aura and totally mog all the white men who start cuck-maxing as their cortisol spikes out of control. For real, on God. You detest traitors like this that saturate Western societies. You truly hope they get what they deserve in the world. It was just wild to read this whole fucking thing. It is possible that resident women perceive the religious practices of newly arrived refugees as different from their own. What do you mean that it's possible that they perceive the religious practices as different from their own? Like they literally are. What does he mean by this? Reinforcing a social distance that limits intergroup partnerships. Moreover, this reluctance might not only reflect religious differences, but also concerns about gender norms or perceived lifestyle incompatibilities. This Pagliacci person! Rapey brown men from backwards countries who spend all day watching porn with white women in it really want to fuck white women, but the white women don't seem to want to fuck them back. Cutting edge shit here, Rolf. Out of curiosity, how many times did you strangle your hog while thinking about how you could fix this problem? What a fucking way with words, holy shit. And then he has a link to the study here, but it's like, why? Who spent money on this? Why was this even a study? What are we fucking doing? That's crazy, bro. Like, all of the comments are just calling this guy fucking retarded. Why do elf women not want to marry orcs, even though orcs want to marry elf women? You're actually building a career on this? Why do these so-called refugees abandon their women, mothers, sisters, daughters, and female friends to face the dangers they themselves fled from? This is what I've said. You can find the interviews. The women who have been left behind by these men who have left for Europe are pissed, and rightfully so. The men are abandoning their nations to try and take over other countries. The majority of these arrivals consisted of young single men. Funnily enough, I've been called a right-wing conspiracy theorist for noticing this. Imagine! And like somebody else said, making a study based on how all of these refugees want to copulate with the native women, but the native women don't want to copulate with them. If this was happening anywhere else, or if this had been something that was brought up like 100 years ago somewhere happening, everyone else would be like, oh, invader men taking the native women while discriminating against the native men, that's a genocide. This is Steve Robinson of, I believe, Maine Wire. He said, in Maine, they're Rwandan, Congolese, Burundi, and Angolan. They're getting rich off of Section 21 adult autism programs. And this is a video of Steve Miller talking about Minnesota.
Think about what this does to public trust, social trust, people's faith in the system, right? Imagine in a community, a working class community in the Twin Cities, say a native Minnesotan who works as a lineman or works as a construction worker, works in any job that requires hard work, dedication, focus, who's worried about his ability to support for and provide his family. And then imagine that he has a neighbor who's a Somali refugee who arrived 2 years ago and has a Mercedes and no financial stress and no worries at all in the entire world and never seems to ever go to work at all, because he just went to an office in the state, lied on a piece of paper, and got unlimited free money forever for life. That is the system that is being run, and that is the corruption that this task force, under the leadership of the vice president, is going to demolish.
And that's pretty much how everyone who is actually working and having to pay taxes should feel. You are being taken advantage of. And the people in power who can do something about it are basically saying, maybe we will, but probably not. Which is once again why I understand everyone's frustration with the do-nothing Republicans, but it's either primary them now, vote for the do-nothings and primary them after, or vote for people who literally want to kill you. And I would like to have the fighting chance, completely honestly. Nick Shirley saying most 20-year-olds are actually starting life behind the starting line. They accumulate student loan debt, graduate with a useless degree, and can't get a job paying above $60,000. I would advance this. I would say most millennials are also in this same fucking boat. It's just that half of the millennials are based out of their goddamn minds and just want to fix things, and the other half of the millennials are part of, like, the gay race communists trying to ruin everything. It's an unfortunate split. Meanwhile, fraudsters defraud the government, making millions. Stopping fraud will benefit my generation more than any other, as our dollar gets devalued and we have less money to put into the markets to hedge against inflation. The idea that a foreigner can start a business that collects welfare dollars from taxpayers while 20-year-old college graduates can't get a good-paying job is unbelievable. It is. And it shouldn't be happening. And even if we can't get the money back from a lot of these people, they should still be slapped with, like, a large fucking fine. For if they ever dared to set foot in our country again, they should be forced by manual labor to pay that all back to the American people.
Met with Nick Shirley one-on-one very briefly. Of course, he's one of the people who really blew the lid off this crazy fraud in Minnesota with the Somalian illegal immigrant community there. And you know what he said is, a lot of people in my generation, Nick, I don't know exactly how old he is. He's probably 21, 22. He's like, they can't find a job making $60,000 a year, which is what they'd like to be able to, buy a home and support a family. And meanwhile, they've got fraudsters. He's talking about his friends, not abstractions. His friends can't find that job, but they see people driving Mercedes making $1 million defrauding the American people. It's an absolute disgrace. And I think if we don't fix it, we are not going to have a country in 10 years.
Sad that it took Nick Shirley to uncover the fraud. I'm so fucking happy Nick Shirley's doing what he's doing. But yeah, it should have been like, why do we even have regular journalists, right? Why do we even have regular journalists if it's taking, just random fucking YouTube people to actually do journalism? Like, it's fucking wild. Tim Walz saying, we will never leave the side of our Somali Minnesotans. Here's our pledge to you.
And I will add a special thank you and a special acknowledgement that we will never leave the side of our Somali Minnesotans.
Why would you vote for this? As an American living in America, why would you vote for this? What is in your best interest to watch your politician pledge himself to Somalians? What the fuck are we doing here?
Here's our pledge to you. Our Somali Minnesotans, your great-grandchildren will still be here when that orange clown is in the dustbin of history.
Why is he advocating for that? Why is he advocating for keeping illegal Somalians in our country? Why does he want illegal immigrants' great-grandchildren to be here? Why would he say that? He's just getting up on camera and saying it out loud. He is not for American. And this is not a niche minority opinion. This is the Democrat Party in current year. Anyone encouraging you to vote for the Democrats because there are Republicans who are not doing what we need them to do is not somebody who wants to fix our country. There's somebody who has been demoralized and wants to take you down with them. We are unfortunately living in a time where we can either temper ourselves and then primary out the spineless do-nothings, or we can watch everything fucking fail. And it's horrible to be in that position.
You will be here.
I don't know how you could live in Minnesota and not just be blood boiling the entire time. Like, I know my tax dollars are going to fraud in Minnesota because it's not just local, it's also federal programs. But it's still incredibly fucking obnoxious. It's still incredibly obnoxious. And then there was Orrin McIntyre here pointing out more fraud. He said, if you work hard to purge tribalism from your society, you have to be very careful about immigration because you've also eliminated a key antibody. This is an ethnic cartel operating in the open because it's legal for them and illegal for you. He's quote retweeting Mary Talley Bowden, MD. Saying 14 of 15 residents in this Indiana internal medicine program are from foreign countries. 12 of the 15 are from Pakistan. If this was an internal medicine class of 2029 and 12 of the 15 people were white American men, this would be plastered all over Twitter and everyone would be angry about it. How are you supposed to play a game that it is illegal for you to participate in? Like, what are you even supposed to do about that? Tim Walz is the kid in school who got up in someone's face and talked shit until they got punched in the mouth, and then he cried to the principal and got the other kids suspended pretty fucking much. There's a lady you talk to at your job. She's in Minnesota. She hates the Somalians, but she votes blue. Boomers, not even once. Like, why would she vote blue? If she understands the problem and she sees the problem, why is she voting blue? That doesn't make sense. You hate boomers. I was like, when I noticed, like, all of the people who are protesting out in New Hampshire from all the posts I was looking at, like, where are all the young people? There's no young people protesting. Oh, I have an article on that. Hold on. No Kings protesters turn out in downtown Manchester despite no official plans. Yeah, I fucking press X. Dozens of demonstrators showed up in front of Manchester City Hall Saturday for a No Kings rally, despite a lack of official plans for one on the designated organizational site. Some demonstrators tell News 9 that they visited different protests across New Hampshire to show their support. They note that they witnessed a majority of a specific demographic at each of them. Where are the young people? It's their future, and you see so many in the older age bracket, said Betsy Kretschmer of Alton. Well, Betsy, let me tell you, while you geriatric cum sluts are busy living out your yesteryears of being hippie freaks once again, everything you're doing is going to make life worse for your children and for your grandchildren. You are doing nothing but destructive damage, and that's why there's no young people in New Hampshire protesting at your side. It seems that, for the most part, young people in New Hampshire are rather intelligent in comparison to the young people promoting communism in all of our other states. You will die and you will leave us to pick up the pieces of the broken society you left behind. And that fucking sucks. That instead of wanting a better life for the young people, you've done everything in your power to enrich yourself and be able to LARP as a hippie until you fucking pass on. Geriatric cum sluts, don't mind me adding that to your insult portfolio. Of course, the boomers hate kings. Think of how much inheritance kings pass on to their children. It's unthinkable. That's a good point. Others took a more lighthearted approach, inspired by demonstrators in Portland who wore inflatable outfits. Laura Skinner of Manchester was one of them, who noted it was her first time at any kind of demonstration. I'm not a big crowds person. I'm not a big conflict person, but it's the phrase, I want to be on the right side of history. So I really felt I needed to come out today, said Skinner, while wearing a Tyrannosaurus Rex costume. Is it really that easy? Is it really that easy to propagandize women? This woman is like, I've never been to a demonstration, but I've heard the phrase, I want to be on the right side of history, so I felt like I needed to start coming out. You don't even know what you're protesting for. You just think it makes you a good person, when it's actually the fucking opposite. Everyone normal hates you. Congratulations. You thought about being on the right side of history, so I decided to come out and be wrong. On the edges of the crowd was a small number of Trump supporters. They told News 9 they wanted to express their free speech, just like everyone else present for the event. I feel like there's a lot of discord and separation, said Rob Rivera of Goffstown while waving a Trump 2024 flag. I think we just need to come together and be respectful of each other's constitutional rights and speak more. Bro, Rob, where the fuck are you? What fucking year are you living in? Like, he's right, but this is something like someone in 2010 would have said. We're beyond the speak more. They shot the guy who wanted to speak more. We kind of can't do that if when we try to speak, we get shot. What are we doing? I consider this boomer selfishness is built on thinking they were the only and last generation to matter, reminding them of their mortality by weaving their actions into the thread of history, while also massaging their egos is bound to work. It's kind of crazy. And if we have any kind of justice in the world, the boomers will be remembered as the most detrimental generation to the American people. Protesters said crowds stayed around the same size throughout the afternoon without any disturbances. It makes me so happy that it's like all old people doing this in New Hampshire. Because that means that anyone who matters, anyone who's going to be trying to run for like political seats in New Hampshire is going to either be someone with common sense or such an obvious commie that they shouldn't by any means ever win a seat. So, Raw Egg Nationalist put out like some tweet that said, could Trump end up in front of the International Criminal Court in The Hague? The Democrat plan for retribution in 2029 is taking shape right now. And he was quote retweeted by Matt Forney. And Matt said, all of you retards who are voting Democrat to burn down the GOP because a Mr. Beast entertainment streamer lied to you about Trump needs to read this. I've already explained why accelerationism of this type never works. This is the other half of the argument. The Democrats will not allow a more right-wing movement than MAGA to emerge should they win. They're openly talking about not only imprisoning Trump and senior administration officials, but punishing right-wing corporations and rewriting laws to de-Trumpify America in the same way Germany was denazified. Don't you morons get it? The Democrats want to kill you. They want you in prison, and they want to make it impossible for anyone like Trump, let alone some freak like Fuentes, to ever take power in America again. Well, I wouldn't want Fuentes to take power in America, but hopefully he called him a freak, so hopefully he agrees. Let the Democrats back into power and they'll lock people like you up, invite another 100 million illegals, and make America into Europe, where it's illegal to be to the right of Nigel Farage. We got a preview of this during Biden's term when January 6th protesters were tortured in the DC jail for months, and Douglas Mackey was arrested for making memes. It can and it will get worse. This petulant whining about Trump is just another manifestation of the obsession people have with Trumpism without Trump. This motivated the Yang campaign in 2019. It motivated DeSantis' presidential campaign. It motivates the current deranged belief that helping the left kneecap the most right-wing president in decades will somehow help us win. When your enemy has a gun to your head, you don't win by telling them to pull the trigger. Trump is the only way forward. There is no right-wing politics without Trump. And as much as you can criticize Trump, it's weird that people on the left feel like if you agree with things Trump do, then you must agree with everything he does. You can criticize him. You can be angry at things that he does or things that he's not doing fast enough that he should be. But being like, well, we need a separation from this. We need to vote for Democrats in order to get better. That is sick. That is sick. You're literally begging to be killed. Why do that? So hopefully something like this can get through to people who still, for some reason, think accelerationism is the way. Apparently they've been doing this since 2020. This is the first time I fucking heard of the fish skin, bro. This is the first time I've heard of fish skin. But apparently, yeah, this has been happening since 2020. 2019 is an article, actually. How horrifying. We learn new horrifying things that have already been existing every day. I fucking can't. It's a good thing I don't really like tilapia, so I won't have to lose my appetite. The only fish I really, really like is fucking haddock. So unless they're starting to make vaginas out of haddock flesh, I think I'm safe, chat. Tilapia is good for burn victims. What the heck? Who sat around thinking of what species of fish to use? Well, if what the YouTube guy said is correct, and that they use tilapia for burn victims, I'm sure it was a pretty easy leap for them to be like, well, if burn victims can benefit from tilapia skin, surely neo-vaginal walls can also benefit from it? Guess what's defrosting in your refrigerator for dinner right now? A transgender neo-vagina? According to this article? A trans woman had a vagina constructed using the skin of a tilapia fish after her genitals began to shrink and close up following botched surgery. According to surgeons, Maju, 35, has the chance of a quote-unquote proper sex life and a boost of confidence thanks to the sea creature's skin. That is a terrifying sentence, holy shit. Does she have a legit reason to complain that it smells like fish now? I guess so. I guess so. Damn it, you chose the wrong day to get sushi. No, the sushi's fine. There's no skin on that anymore, right? Damn, girl, you must be trans, because your pussy be smelling fishy. Holy shit. The highly complex procedure called neovaginoplasty uses a tubular-shaped acrylic mold wrapped with the skin of the freshwater fish in the form of a biological prosthesis to rebuild and extend the vaginal canal in a 3-hour operation on April 23rd. That sounds horrific. The process involved inserting 2 separate molds to create the new vagina. The first device, mounted with the marine membrane, was incorporated inside the vagina over a period of 6 days. Has anyone ever stopped and thought about the fact that they're going through these like crazy surgeries? Like removing skin from their thighs or from like their ass or from the inside of their colon and turning the penis inside out. And the entire purpose of like making this neo vagina is just to fuck it. Like there's no other purpose for this. And like more than half the time the surgery fails for that purpose anyway. I was like, this just seems crazy to me. How do you injure your vagina? Some weird car accident? Yeah, some weird car accident called giving birth. In contact with the patient's body, the sterilized and odor-free fish skin, how do they make the fish skin odor-free is my next question, displays stimulatory cell growth properties. It is rich in type 1 collagen, a substance that promotes healing and has a firmness and elasticity which is as strong and resilient as human skin. The tilapia membrane attached to and recoated the walls of the vaginal canal, acting like stem cells. These were absorbed into the body, transforming into cellular tissue, similar to that of an actual vagina. Yeah, I just don't believe you, actually. I just quite literally don't believe you. The second device, made from silicone and described as a very big tampon, is designed to remain inside the vagina for up to 6 months to prevent the walls from closing. I am tired. I can't believe I've never read this article. It's from 2019, bro. Professor Leonardo Becerra said to Focus on News, "We were able to create a vagina of physiological length, both in thickness and by enlarging it, and the patient has recovered extremely well. She's walking around with ease, has no pain, and is urinating normally. In a couple of months, we believe she'll be able to have sexual intercourse." That's crazy, the lengths that people will go to get a dick in them. I'ma just say that. The device can be removed after this period as and when desired. You know, this also makes me think of all the people who are just like, actually, if you're a straight man and you date a trans woman, you're still straight because trans women's are women's. If you're putting your dick into like a pocket made out of colon and fish skin, that's not a vagoober, man. You're not straight, dude. Like, I don't know what to tell you. A vagina's basically a wound with stinky fish skin in it. Dr. Science, PhD. Tilapia is used because it is similar to and encourages the growth of skin, not unlike how we use animal parts for other medical purposes. It's still fucking horrifying to read about making an entire cave pocket for the purpose of it being a vagina out of tilapia skin. This process is being hailed as yet another breakthrough in gynecological surgery, which is tackling sensitive predicaments using the aquatic animal skin, normally thrown away as waste, as a substitute for human regenerative tissue. I'm glad that they're saying that the skin is normally thrown away as waste, but now they're using that waste for making a vagina. All I can think of is like, you know, back in like middle or high school, when you would do like paper mache projects, and you had to build like a big globe out of toothpicks, and then you would paper mache the outside of the globe. That's what I'm imagining is happening here, right? Like they build a globe to mirror a vagina out of toothpicks, and then they just put all of the tilapia skin like paper mache around the outside, and then they kind of compress it in certain areas to give it more of that vaginal shape rather than a giant globe. And they're like, behold, we have created vagina. Speaking to Focus on News, the transsexual patient revealed she decided to transition 20 years ago with the support of her family, after realizing in her early teens that she was a woman living in a man's body. Maju said, I was the 4th person in Brazil in 1999 to have what was then experimental surgery. But 10 years ago, I developed vaginal stenosis. The opening of my vagina started to get narrower and shorter, and the canal collapsed. That's because your body's been trying to heal a wound that shouldn't be there for however many years that was. 10 years ago? Yeah? It's been trying to heal that wound, buddy. She suffered constant discomfort, which prevented sex with her partner of 12 years, from whom she is now divorced. Man was like, your vaginal canal collapsed. Peace out, bitch. What the fuck? I remember a few years ago, 3 girls who were born with all parts except for a vaginal canal and had a lab-grown vagina made for them. Apparently it was a massive success and all 3 girls are able to safely have sex. Why don't they just do that again instead of the fish abomination? I have a feeling it's quite a bit harder to introduce an organ into a male body that doesn't belong in a male body than it is to introduce an organ to a female body that's supposed to be there but isn't there. Much like the first successful womb transplant in which a woman gave birth. After she gave birth, her body rejected the implanted uterus, so it had to be removed again. So it's like even that, like, woman to woman isn't a like you're gonna get to keep this forever kind of thing, you know? Who the fuck starts a conversation like that? What do you mean? Since developing the technique 3 years ago, Becerra has successfully treated 10 women and corrected the condition that causes the vagina and uterus to be underdeveloped or absent. According to Becerra, vaginal tract closure is common in trans women who have undergone a sex change. See, this sentence before that, when they say Becerra has successfully treated 10 women, do they mean like biological women? Because they say that causes the vagina and uterus to be underdeveloped or absent, and trans women wouldn't have a uterus. But then immediately after that, they talk about the vaginal tract closure in trans women. So which women are they treating? Real women or trans women? 10 is a tiny amount. It is a tiny amount, but it also changes the context, depending on who it is. The wildest part is when they went with tilapia. Why couldn't they go with clam? It was right there. Well, clams don't really have skin. Clams are like hard shell and like you slurp snot out of them. He explained this is because in the traditional practice, most of the inside parts of the penis are removed and the penile skin is folded into the space between the urethra and the rectum. The outside skin of the penis then becomes the inside of the vagina. But because the patient has had hormonal treatment to develop female characteristics, there is penile and testicle atrophy resulting in shrinkage in the size of the penis caused from the loss of tissue. This means the vagina can also be small. To complicate matters, before surgery could begin, the medical team discovered that apparent levels of incompetence during the original surgery had left more than one narrow vaginal canal. There were remnants of cavernous bodies, erectile tissue structures, still in the vaginal space. They opened up this person, they were like, damn, this vagina like Swiss cheese. We don't know where to start. What the fuck? That's horrifying. Why would you get these surgeries? Everything about this is like, it just keeps getting worse. The presence of these leftovers of the penis aggravated the closure of the vaginal tract, worsening the symptoms, said Becerra. To reverse this problem, the most common method is to do a skin graft taken from other parts of the body, usually from the intestines, to increase the width and length of the canal. This type of surgery is invasive, long, and leaves scars. Becerra said the great benefit of our technique, the tilapia skin technique, is that it's minimally invasive and there's no need to do abdominal incisions. You prefer the Blade Runner version of the future where you just had flying cars and clones who wanted to murder us? Yeah, that sounds more fun. More fun, less horrific. You think the doctors would see how the wound keeps closing and trying to go away and think, maybe this isn't good for the human body. Yeah, except doctors stopped being doctors and started being like, hey, how can we drain these living individuals of their money? Kristi Noem weighs in on report that her husband lives a cross-dressing double life? What the fuck? A former Department of Homeland Security Chief Kristi Noem is devastated by salacious allegations. Her husband Brian lives a double, well, his name was Brian spelled B-R-Y-O-N. He was doomed from the start, man. Lives a double life where he cross-dresses and chats online with fetish models. Miss Noem is devastated. The family was blindsided by this, and they asked for privacy and prayers at this time. Noem's representative told the Post, I'm so glad that I like himbos, man. Like, anytime I would find a himbo in women's clothing, it's because he'd be like, oh yeah, I had to put on a disguise in order to fool these people that I was somebody else because I forgot to give them back something, and I didn't want to go a second time, and so I had to pretend to be somebody else to give them back their item that I borrowed from them. I'm like, you do that. You do that. You're so smart. I love you. At least we know who wears the pants in that relationship. Oh my god. That is a himbo scheme. Exactly. Miss Noem is devastated. I would be too. According to reporting by the Daily Mail, Brian Noem chatted up women from the so-called bimbofication fetish scene, in which adult performers augment their breasts with massive amounts of saline to achieve a Barbie doll-like appearance. Do you think that the bimbofication women who inject their breast with saline would get along well with the gay men who inject their testicles with saline, so they could both have like giant balloons hanging off their body but in different locations? That's something I'm asking about, you know? Citing hundreds of messages purportedly sent by 3 women from the scene, Noem's husband enthusiastically praised their heavily augmented appearances and proclaimed he coveted huge, ridiculous boobs. According to the Mail! Oh no, dude. One photo the Mail claims Brian Noem shared with the women features him wearing pink hot pants and a flesh-colored skin-tight suit. He's a fucking skin suitor! He's a fucking skin suitor! No way! That's disgusting! He's gonna murder his wife and wear her skin as a suit.
Like the ancient Irish did.
He appears to have put balloons in his shirt to mimic comically oversized lopsided breasts, complete with fake protruding nipples. Disgusting. Rude. His face is fully visible in several of the photos, one with a completely straight visage and another making a flirtatious kissy face with pursed lips. How? How do you get like this? I want to know, 1, how do you get like this? And 2, when your spouse is in like a position like Kristi Noem was, why would you keep doing this? This incredibly puts any credibility that your spouse has on the fucking line. Why would you do that? Porn addicts, I'm sick of them. This does explain why she was publicly cheating on him for 5+ years and why she was so soft on trans issues. If she was cheating, this does explain it. I would absolutely want a divorce if if I caught my husband doing like this kind of shit, ain't no way. I'd be like, there's no way you're getting out of this divorce. It's just gonna happen. Isn't this kink shaming when it comes to leftist tactics? Shouldn't they celebrate this? They don't celebrate it when somebody on the right does the degenerate stuff that they celebrate on the left, because they know that people on the right look down on it, so they use that as a way to take down the person that they don't like. Brian, who made his fortune in the insurance industry, allegedly sent women he met in the online fetish community some $25,000 via Cash App and PayPal, as he admired their over-the-top bust sizes and amazing curves, the DM reported. Yeah, see, if I'm married to someone, they're absolutely not going to be sending money to fetish women online. That's just not going to happen. That's just not real, bro. That's crazy that she put up with this. He traded selfies with one woman he pledged to worship like a goddess, telling her, "You turned me into a girl," before asking if he should put on leggings. This man was into the sissy hypnosis pay pig humiliation rituals. How the fuck does this happen? How does this happen? Fuck, rip my donos to Kier. I'm not a fetish thing. One of the models claimed she once butt-dialed quote-unquote Jason and heard a voicemail greeting saying, "Noem Insurance, leave a message." When she Googled Noem Insurance, she found pictures of Brian and his DHS secretary wife, according to the Daily Mail. When she confronted him about it, he reportedly told her that he didn't care. Yeah, he looks like someone who doesn't care. The Post has not confirmed the details reported by the Mail. The outlet spoke to national security experts who surmised her husband's alleged proclivities could have left the former DHS secretary, who was fired last month, vulnerable to potential blackmail. You don't fucking say! You don't say this could leave her open to potential fucking blackmail! Look at his disgusting nipples! Look at his disgusting face! Oh my god, what rouge does to a man. The Noems have 3 children, daughters Cassidy, 31, and Kennedy, 29, and a son, Booker, 23. Cassidy and Kennedy both have children of their own. Cassidy and Kennedy sounds like they really liked Western movies. What the fuck? I didn't expect it to get worse as I scroll down! What the fuck? In a sane world, a man would lose penis privileges for this. In a 2022 interview with Elysian, Kristi Noem said, "We are such a transparent family," over their willingness to put their family life out there, adding that they're an open book. Oh, dear Lord, this woman. However, big questions have swirled about the state of the Noem's marriage in recent years, primarily concerning the ousted DHS chief's relationship with Trump confidant Corey Ludanowski. Well, she clearly wanted to have sex with a man for the first time in her marriage, so Ludanowski, who is also married, has been by Noem's side at high-profile events, even sitting side by side across from Guyanese president Irfan Ali during a meeting in the South American country earlier this month. What the heck? You can just never get having a fairly attractive wife and cheating or being a degen behind her back. That's what I'm saying. Like, this guy has full access to fucking his pretty wife whenever the hell he wants, and yet he still has to put on giant silicone titties to feel okay. The fuck's going on here? I thought that maybe she's cagey and it never puts out and is always out of the house cheating on him. I mean, I guess it would depend, right? Did his weird sexual proclivities of dressing as a woman come first, or did her cheating come first? Because it's like, if they just got married as a matter of convenience, I don't really feel bad for either of them. Their cozy appearance came just weeks after she was grilled over the alleged affair in a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing in which she dodged questions as Brian sat directly behind her. The story is developing. I would also dodge questions if it would lead to people finding out that my husband put on skin suits for women and talked to bimbos. That's crazy. That's insane. There's multiple articles on this shit, dude. Comically oversized lopsided breast. There's the, oh my god, there's the kissy face picture. Why is he doing that? Why is he making kissy face? Playing devil's advocate on this one, but what are the odds these images are either photoshopped or AI'd really convincingly? 0, considering they found out that he's given $250,000 to these bimbo women as well. Do you think that this is just some random White House staffer in a bunny costume, or they tried having a like polyamorous relationship for a while? Because this kind of looks like something that he would be into, you know? Like the dog is just like, release me. What's wrong with talking online with big titty bimbos? Well, for one, you're paying them to do sissy hypno, which is kind of weird. It's Diddy under the rabbit costume. They're just passing Diddy around now. The pictures are just staring at the car crash at this point. The money trail is definitely the nail in the coffin. Yeah, pretty much. It's been known that she was banging Corey since the first Trump term. It's one of the things that hurt her new star of the GOP reputation. I think divorce would make more sense, but like, if her husband is a strange cross-dressing AGP, I can excuse the cheating. Blackrock CEO Larry Fink, who played an instrumental role in forcing woke diversity quotas on companies, concedes the woke era was a failed experiment. Yeah, I'm just not gonna believe that Mr. Now is the time to force behaviors has decided to 180 for no reason.
Do you believe the woke era a failed experiment? The ESG, the DEI, the kind of push for that? That when you talk about things now, you talk in a practical sense, what we can do, what we can get done. Looking back at that, how do you see it?
Society moves. The pendulum moves all the time. In Blackrock's cases, you know, we are responsible for managing money for everybody. And even today, as you said, maybe these, you know, renewables are less talked about it. I can tell you right now, we have many investors worldwide are investing in renewables, trying to emphasize solar and other things like that. They're trying to, we're working with Occidental Petroleum right now to building the best carbon capture factories in Texas right now. Okay. So do I believe the pendulum 5 years ago was too far? Yes. You do? I believe we're more I'm personally more pragmatic too. And I believe...
But do you think BlackRock pushed some companies a little bit further left than you thought?
It was never our intention, because our job is to be... I got to be a fiduciary to everybody who gives us money. Our responsibility, Brett, is to making...
He is a great politician, because every time he's asked a direct question, he circles around it to give an answer. He has not said that this was a failed experiment. He has not said that they're stopping DEI and ESG.
Sure, if one of our investors wants to invest 100% in hydrocarbons in Texas, I'm investing 100% of the money in Texas. But if another state fund wants us to invest in, let's say, all green energy, we're going to do that. It's their money. But today, because of AI and the overwhelming need for power and electricity, it can't just be one way right now. It can't just be hydrocarbons. If you see what China is doing right now, China is rapidly building more nuclear than any other country in the world. They have the largest solar fields in the world, yet they're the biggest importer of gas and oil. And so to me, more importantly today, I think society has moved into a better position of having more pragmatism. And what you're hearing from me is I'm echoing what we're hearing from our clients.
Yeah, so he didn't say any of that. This is, again, another, like, pretty classic example of somebody saying something that's not at all in the clip you just watched. It even has it on, like, the ticker down here. Blackrock shift from climate and diversity targets. That is not what he said at all. I don't know why anyone is thinking that's what he's doing. Block the gimmick accounts. It's not even just the gimmick account, right? It's on the Fox News ticker. It says Blackrock shift from climate and diversity targets. That is not at all what Fink said. He didn't say anything. He admitted it was a failed experiment, but he clearly doesn't realize that that's what he said. He basically said the same thing that Charlemagne said previously, where he was just like, if that's what they want to do with their money, that's what we're going to do with their money. But he didn't even acquiesce to, like, when the guy asked him, do you think, BlackRock pushed these companies farther left? And he was just like, I think that some things were ahead of their time. So he's saying, like, it might have moved too fast, but this is still the correct thing to doing. Which is what Charlemagne was saying in the opposite direction, where he was like, ESG and DEI haven't gone far enough. We haven't done enough with these initiatives.